Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the J Free 906 podcast here on the Freeman Files. Tom Burns and Jeff Freeman here with you tonight. And we're going to have some good times talking about the premiere last night. What do you think?
We got a lot. Let's get it going. We froze. Nope, we haven't froze. We had a real bad windstorm here last night, so it's all the internet's all wonky. But
so, what did you think of that premiere last night? We got a lot.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
I thought it was very good. There's a few people that have been kind of poo-pooing it a little bit, but I thought, you can't expect a premiere to come out and we found gold, we found the treasure, it's all over. Thanks for tuning in. No, you got to build into it. But
25 shows to get through here, folks. So
yeah, we got some more shows to go.
Not going to show it all in the first night.
Exactly. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. We are going to be talking about the season premiere, The Curse of Oak Island, season 12, episode number 1. Actually, it was kind of a 1 and a 2, but they put it together. We're also going to talk a little bit about the drilling down that was on beforehand, which I thought was very good. They kind of revealed some, did they reveal anything? Kind of.
There's some clues there for sure.
Yeah, definitely some clues there for sure. But anyway, thank you all again for being with us tonight. And we'd like to ask if you, one of the things that Colin Jameson always says is, if you would, let us know where you're from. We really appreciate it. I know some people already have. It's going to put in just, you don't have to get specific. Just say what state you're from or country you're from or something like that. We'd love to get that kind of stuff and find out where we're reaching out to with the show here. The Tea Lady, great chat. Oh yeah, I know. Yes, the vault. I know, right? We're going to be talking about that here in just a little bit. We also have a giveaway tonight, and that was the tumbler.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm at a loss for a picture for it at the moment, but we have a tumbler with the bottom of it has a Bluetooth speaker in it as well, so it's kind of unique. Sempre Avante, is that what it says on it? I think so. Yeah. Yeah, from the guys. So we'll be doing that giveaway here in just a little bit, and we'll talk about that as we get close to that time. We'll explain all the details about the giveaways. Kind of a funny thing. It started people giving us things and said, "Hey, give this away on your podcast," and now it's become a regular tradition for us to give things away.
That's from Jess. She's in the chat there tonight somewhere. I saw her. So hi, Jess.
Yeah. Oh, really? Is she there with us tonight?
There's so many people in there now. I'm trying to scroll through to see who's here, and I'm going to give up.
Oh, well, I tell you what, we've been waiting for this for such a long time. I did put out a little thing yesterday, a little video yesterday talking about how excited I was, and I am still, because I think this is going to be a fantastic season. I'm really looking forward to this, and I thought it kicked off very well. Folks, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, we ask that you would. It helps out a lot, getting those subscribers up there. And also, if you like the content of the show that Tom and I do for you here tonight, please give us a thumbs up. That, again, helps with the YouTube algorithms and gets us out there to maybe be in front of more people as people are scrolling by or looking at their YouTube. And I'm also live over on Rumble tonight, too. So anybody that's on Rumble that would like to... let me see if I can get this. Why is it not moving? Well, anyway, I'm watching on Rumble too. So if you make a comment in Rumble, you can we'll try to include you into the show as well. So feel free to let us know if you have any questions or comments from over there. So let's start off with a little bit of drilling down. And I thought it was really cool that they had changed it up a little bit. Why does the show have to be so? It's not stuffy. I was going to say stuffy, but that's not the right word. But it's very, we're so used to how the show goes. We don't get any comedy or anything like that in it. You do from Gary once in a while.
It's formatted.
Yeah, it's formatted. Yeah. So you get Gary, getting all excited and making comments once in a while. And I hear he's one of the funniest people on the island. But it was kind of interesting to see what they did on drilling down last night, right off the bat. You see the usual with Matty Blake, and we love Matty Blake. He is fantastic. He's been on the podcast with us a few times, and we really appreciate him a lot. Anyway, so he was out there and he was doing his thing on the causeway that he always does. And then right at the end, when he says, you know, starts now. Yeah, Jack and Alex popped in with. I thought that was great. I don't know. Did
Yep.
anybody else think that was funny? I thought it was.
That was great. That was fantastic.
So
Like,
yeah, but
here we go. Let's get her going.
exactly,
Mhm.
so it added a little bit of levity to it
Mhm.
and whatnot. I thought it was great. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Linda says she was laughing out loud. There you go.
Mhm.
I did. Yeah, glad they switched it up. Exactly, Zane. I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
What they did was they originally started off and they brought him over to the lot 5 area, which this lot 5 has been changing and growing since they first opened up what was originally a circular feature that was actually built by um, Robert Young. He put
Yep.
the stones around it in a circle. Danny Henniger had mentioned that to us. And then they just started opening it up from there. I mean, has this thing, what do you think, Tom, about this lot 5 feature?
It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we also need to get them to disclose what they found, that this lot 5 is now considered a designated special place.
Yes. Yes.
What
Would
is
it
there
be?
that makes this a designated special place? We know that there's 2 spots in the swamp, and where the heck was the other one? Swamp and can't remember. Anyway,
Oh,
we know that.
they said the Ball property, the
Ball
McGinnis
property, yes,
property,
because it's got
and
the foundation,
yeah,
and there's 2 spots in the swamp. The eye of the
and
swamp.
2 spots in the swamp.
Yep.
Now, what would those 2 spots be? The only thing I could think of initially was the road in the southeast corner.
Yep.
And then the large paved area.
Yeah, that or I don't think they're allowed to dig in the eye without a permit.
I don't know. Now Laird did say during it that they have a permit for the entire encompasses the entire island now.
Blanket permit. Yep.
A blanket permit, correct. But then these are special places. And he named them off: the Ball property, the McGinnis property, lot 5, the feature on lot 5, and then also 2 places in the swamp. So we got to
So that
dig. Right away.
probably explains why they had to bring in those other assistant archaeologists.
It could be.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's something that probably happened sort of, I'm not going to say spur of the moment, but somebody's decided and we said, we got to get some people in here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. This thing has really developed into quite a changing feature for sure.
It's huge.
And they also mentioned during this that it has kind of evolved into a let me step back on that. That it has gone from different modifications by what they think is different peoples over the time, multi-generational use.
Generational use, yep.
It was also alluded to, and we'll get to this as we talk more in the about the season premiere. But it was also alluded to that it may have been it's all they're all tied together. These places are tied together now, and they've had.
It's almost like a timeline when you go left to right.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. That's what Maddie said when he was standing there.
Yep.
But they tied these locations together. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to say people have used and reused this location and expanded its use for whatever purpose.
Yeah, for whatever purpose.
But the stone compartments, like, what are they?
Yeah, I don't know. And they're awfully small. I mean, I look at it and I think that's kind of a small for a. It is and it isn't. But I mean, I know they didn't make large houses, years ago. They built with what they could afford and build, and just enough. It might just be a 1-room shack in many cases, but
why they continued? Let's call it subdivision.
Yeah,
when they keep putting the different stone structures in there.
Another thing too I saw, and this was really neat, was the this little portion here. Melvin is the original. I missed out on that. What that means? Sure. Yeah. This one here, where they're showing this little wall here, and then this little hole in the bottom of it, like a drain, or was this the cellar? And that was the drain for the cellar. We saw one over on the Ball property. They had talked about having a little tunnel that led downhill back to the water.
Bit of a drain, maybe.
Yeah, that was like a basement drain or something
What
like
about
that.
if it was if that little circular spot there now that's sort of center screen
Mhm.
was not a spot that was visible to everybody, and that was a door for a place to hide something?
Air hole, they said, yeah, like
Yeah.
an air hole for something. I don't know. You'd let critters get
Mm.
in for sure.
Yeah. It's not burnt, so it wasn't a
Cat
fire.
door. Yeah.
Yes, the cat door.
Sir, yeah, it could be a source of oxygen. That was David. Source of oxygen for a smelt or fireplace. Yeah, for sure. Could very well have been. I don't know. Interesting. But this feature just keeps changing. And you heard what Laird said, or I did anyway, caught what he said about the artifacts that they have found are very, the ones then just this last season. And this, he was there about midway through filming, the filming season, Maddie was. So already they had found a lot of artifacts that, again, nail down a little bit more of the dates, I guess, a little bit. Was that what he was saying?
None of that, but they said they're nailing it down to being different periods pre-money pit.
Yeah. Pre-money pit. I know. That's crazy.
Mm.
And why wouldn't you, though? You think about it. If you came back and you were going to use Oak Island for whatever reason, you knew about it, you knew there was something going on there, you had to go and check this place out because you were going to maybe utilize it for the same purposes people in the past did, and you found a structure that somebody had there at one time, would you not want to go ahead and use
Use it.
it instead of trying to build a whole new one?
Hmm.
I would. Save you a lot of time and effort. So next they decided they took Maddie over to the swamp. And I thought this was really interesting. This is something that all throughout the summer months, as we were getting pictures and seeing folks on Tony Sampson's Salty Dog Sea Tours taking and sending in pictures to our Facebook group page. And even myself, when we were on the tour in August, we saw a lot of activity going on in the north side of the swamp, up above, just north of the eye of the swamp.
Yep.
And I'm telling you what, I knew. I mean, you've seen how much excavation was going on, the metal detectors going on, and everything else. Um, you wondered what was going on. Now, if you remember toward the end of last season, season 11, you had John Edwards talking about the different areas that they needed to look in that in the north side of the swamp. Here you go. I mean,
Hmm.
was he right? We don't know yet. But what did they say that they had found besides Kathy Drayton?
Hmm.
Uh, awesome to have her on there with working with Dad, with Gary. Metal detecting. That's a good thing to do or have on the island, and
The family business. Yep.
a family business. Exactly. Okay, but where Maddie was standing right here. Now, of course, we couldn't see it. They were keeping this away from our view. But they mentioned a vault. It was mentioned twice, right?
Hmm.
So a vault of sorts. Yeah. And then what did Alex say as they were leaving?
Gonna vault. We're gonna be vaulting over to the money pit.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, subtle yet effective.
Yeah. Subtle but effective. Yeah. Hidden vault insight. Yeah.
But they did go as far as to tell us that it is a structure of some sort.
Yes.
Something man made has been built in there.
Right. Exactly. So yeah. What do you folks in the chat think? Let us know what you think about what you think this may be. It was definitely a structure, and they were toying with the word vault. We don't know. And again, he couldn't say anything about it, but I just curious what you all think. I would imagine based on Maddie's look, it was an actual vault or safe. A root cellar.
Root cellar. Yeah.
So we don't know yet, but it's going to be interesting. Now, they were also working on this other side, I believe, of the road later in the season, weren't they? I mean, there was
Oh
over
yeah, they
here,
were right down next to the water.
yeah, up
Yeah.
on the other side of the little dirt road going over to Tom Nolan's
Yep.
house. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. They got shots from Tony's boat there that going by, and they're right down. Steve's right in the hole on the seaward side of the road. Yep.
the hatch, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking about too. Was the hatch? Um, there's a. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know about that. Then we saw over in the money pit, we saw the caissons there. Now, remember, this is the middle of summer when he was there, and the caissons had shown up, and they got they're setting the cranes and getting all the everything ready to go for putting the caissons in this year. So, and we got to see our friend Vanessa Lucido made it back. We're so glad to have her back on the island doing her thing with the
Yep,
caissons.
for
And they
sure.
were 7-foot caissons this year,
7 foot. So we were guessing 6 foot, then we guessed 8 foot, and well, they were 7 foot. So
right? We were close,
mm, we'll take that for the
definitely
win.
close. They were talking about some of the places that they were going to put the caissons this year, and they named off a couple of them. They actually showed the placement of one of them, and I've got a picture of that. But when they were flashing through the pictures of Aladdin's cave, and I think this, I don't remember, this was in Aladdin's cave, I thought, if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
But it was this stone that really stuck out to me, and I grabbed the picture of it yet again, all
Yep,
because of two things. One, the little
the
marks on the
marks. Yep,
bottom, which
the
look like
chisel marks.
something,
Yep,
yeah, like chisel
or
marks.
a stone drill of some sort. Yeah.
Yep, yep, where they drive the, in to
Hmm.
make a crack and bust
Yep.
it. But also this little thing right here. You guys see that? That
Hmm.
little round, perfectly round circle that looks a little shiny. I don't know. They've never mentioned anything about this. They never said one word. I think that looks like a coin stuck in the side of a rock.
Could be.
That's what I think.
At this
Uh,
point, you can't rule anything out.
I know. A ring bolt, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's a ring bolt, but yeah, I don't know. It
Mhm.
looked like I always
Yep.
think it looks
It
like
could
a
be
coin.
something. It could be a chisel that was in there and got snapped off or didn't work or
Could very well be. You might be right.
mm,
Exactly. So that was pretty interesting to see that. There they are, and this is where the spot is of the caisson going in. If you can see that, I didn't get my little. Should get my little pointer going here. I forgot to get that going before the show started. But so they've got that spot, and you also notice what is missing from this picture, and it would be the only caisson that they've left in the ground. Um, but they have apparently covered up if they're going to be working in the money pit and they're going to have the oscillator and the crane and everything set up. They got to clear it as much as they can. So I think what
yep.
they've done is they've taken the top can or the cover off of C1, and they've put the little cover on it that has Charles' name on it, and
Yeah.
put that off to the side and put a cover over it, covered it with dirt so that they could actually work in
Hmm.
the money pit. So I think that's what this is. Do you think that's about right?
It could be. Yeah.
Because they said that they were putting this new one was just a few feet away from C1, and I thought I had written that down here. 7 feet, yeah. The first one is going to be 7 feet off of C1, and I think this cone
That's
right here
probably
is
it.
where
That's
C1
probably
is.
it. Yeah.
All right, you're going to hear a little sound there when I move
Mhm.
that over. So yeah, so that's it right there. If you can see that little circle, that's we're going to put the first one in. And I was thinking later on, when we watched this happening with everybody sending in pictures, I was really wondering if, yeah, I was really wondering if, uh, how many caissons did they put in? I was thinking maybe they only got one put in, but no, they did get at least three, I think, put in. But
I
I
would
don't know
say
if
they
the,
had planned, I think, on 9 or something like that, but we
that
don't
was
know what they
interesting.
actually got done.
Oh, there's John Smith's house. I got that. It's in the wrong place. Let me pick it up past that.
Mm.
So interesting things going on. The vault in the swamp, hidden down there, and also the excavations that are going on still to this day with the archaeologists working on Lot 5,
Mhm.
and all of that. And they said, one other thing that was said was filled in before the discovery of the money pit. That's what they're claiming. That's what Laird is claiming, that Lot 5, the structure on Lot 5, even looking at the dates of everything, they're saying it was filled in before the discovery of the money pit in 1795.
Yep.
So, would that have been used as a place for gathering place, whether it be a bunkhouse or a food, where they would eat or whatever it may be? Lot 5 would have been there possibly for the people that were working in the money pit.
Oh, quite possibly. Could have been a staging area. Could have been residence. Could have been goodness knows. Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. Yep.
So it was good. I really enjoyed that. And again, Maddie did a fantastic job, and I just really appreciated the levity they added to it.
Hmm.
Um, so I thought that was really good. Um, so let's move on to The Curse of Oak Island, the actual premiere show. Let's get into that a little bit because again, I thought this was one of the best ones. And we're going to start off working and talking about the money pit, but more specifically, um, the Shaft 2. They're looking for Shaft 2. Now, when the show first opens, they are in the interpretive center, which is now, if you notice, they call it the museum last night. And that was the
Hmm.
first time I've actually heard it called the museum by them
Yeah.
since it was closed, to the public in
Mm,
2020.
mm. I see somebody a question here. How could it have been before 1795? All the artifacts were from 17th century Phipps. Yeah, 17th century is actually the 1600s.
Correct.
So that's how Phipps was there in what 1687 or 78 or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
or supposedly there anyway. So yeah, like 100 years before the money pit.
Right. Exactly.
Mm.
So they were meeting in there and they got together in what was called the interpretive center, but they called it the museum. And I keyed on that because I'm really hoping that at some point we will see the island open back up to at least a little bit of tourism. I would love to be able to come to the island and then go into the museum and see the things that are there and the things that have been found all throughout the years, even from Dan
Hmm.
Blankenship's day and beyond, and before that, even of the things that they have found and have collected and put into the museum. I would love to be able to go there. I know they will have to figure out some sort of parking situation because
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, it would be a logistical nightmare trying to have tourists there now with all the people that are working there. So.
can you imagine how
Mm.
much how many people would be there on a daily basis? I mean, you talk to Karen Publicover from she's Oak Island from the other side of the Causeway Facebook page, and we love Karen. She's a fantastic, good friend of the show, and she gets people there constantly, Monday through Sunday, constantly all day long, knocking on her door. Now she has a little shop there where she
Yeah, she's
sells
even had people
something.
just walk in.
But yeah, really good. But yeah, what did I say there? The museum was a two-story structure on, yes, parking across the causeway and take trams. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to figure something out. If they're going to ever open up, they will have to figure something out to make that.
Yeah, have to park
Make
out
that
by the main
happen.
road, out by the church or something.
Yeah. I don't know. For all of you, and maybe we can just get a raise of hands. Let me know if you either already live in Nova Scotia and you've been in the Mahone Bay area, or you have traveled there from wherever it is you live, and you've gone up there for vacation or something like that. Give me just a show of hands in the chat tonight of who has actually been there. I am one that I've been there, and I know Tom has. Yep, Tom and our friend Henry DeWitt
Henry's
went
been there.
together,
Yep.
and you guys had a great time. You met some of the cast members and all of that. And I wanted to show this picture because now, yeah, there's Lorraine. Now, when the guys go, when they drive and they show them driving around, and I look to see where they are. And when they showed this particular picture on there, I go, "Oh, I know exactly where that is
Mhm.
because that right there is the Island View restaurant, and I've
Yep.
eaten there a couple of times. And right there is Oak Island in the background up here on the top.
Hmm.
But the Island View restaurant, great place to go.
Supposed to have some of the best lobster rolls around.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say they got some of the best lobster rolls in the entire area.
Yep.
Don't be ashamed. Don't feel ashamed if you haven't been there. No, it's not a big deal. It took me several years to be able to go there. Now I've been there twice, and
Hmm.
Christina and I love the place. Absolutely love the
I only
place.
live a few hours away, and I've only been there once, so don't feel bad.
There you go. See, Mr. New Brunswick. Yeah.
Mm.
And there is a picture of they were when they were in the museum and they were talking about the drill program. They were talking about the fact that, and I wrote this down because Ian Spooner and Fred Michaels and Matt Lukeman, I've had Ian and Matt just on the show here just a couple months ago. They were on the podcast with us, and they still strongly stand behind what they have said about there being precious metals in
Correct.
the money pit somewhere.
There's no
Because
doubt in their mind that there's traces of gold and silver.
yes,
No doubt in their minds.
exactly. And it was kind of one of those things where did you get the gold? We know that silver will, leave a lot of remnant in seawater or whatever, and seawater has a tendency to really, blacken silver and things like that. But they also, oh, okay. I was just reading that. I can see south side of Oak Island from my home in Martins Point. Awesome. That's cool. That's really cool. But and this graph here they just showed, I love this one because you kind of get an idea of looking at the entire money pit with the graph on it. But you can see all those red dots are places where they have detected some sort of precious metals in the water. That's a lot of them. And they are able to, and I was asking Ian about this, but they were following the concentrations all the way back. And that's why they came up with this area up here in the top being what they called the blob and then the baby blob. Now they have
we have a new name.
Now they have a new name for this area. The pie, I think a slice of pie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so that's significant, and they still stand by that to this day. So, they're really happy about the fact that they're able to finally start tracing this down and finding out.
They trace it, but also the fact that they keep finding consistent readings in the same spot. Mm-hmm. Which doesn't mean it's something that was there to them. It means it's something that is there.
Right. Yes. Right. And that's one of the questions I had asked. He said, but for the concentrations that they get, it tells them it has to still be there because it would weaken. The concentrations would weaken over time.
Yep.
So there you go. This area here in the yellow, I wrote down what they said about that. The persistent high copper, lead, zinc, and tin, which are all parts of what make this all, treasure up. Really high concentration in this yellow area. But then they also have this pie area in the blue labeled off as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, the concentration of those metals is usually metals that are associated with some sort of gold, silver, treasure, whatever.
Exactly. Yep. I grabbed this picture here. This one here I really liked because it shows you, I remember at the end of last season when they were talking about the placement of the cans that they wanted to put in this year. And they had talked about clearing away, unfortunately, the women's memorial that had been built by Rick Lagina. They had to remove it. They will end up doing something again at some point along the way, but they had to clear that all out, which you see this excavation that's been done back here behind. They dug the hillside out, a lot of it, because they wanted to get back there and actually be able to do part of the drill program in that area.
Did you notice Marty was pretty specific when he cornered Billy on that? Did you get that done?
Yes. I wouldn't want to have been Billy if he said, no, I didn't get that done. Yeah, that would not have been a good thing.
That was a pretty direct question.
He can be very matter of fact sometimes, can't he?
Oh, he can be business guy all the way through. Oh, yeah.
All the way through. That's why he's looking for the treasure. And you got, what were they? They were going back between.
Oh, yeah. Treasure and story or treasure and history or something.
Yeah. Answers.
Yeah. Answers. That's what it was.
Answers and treasure. Answers to get the treasure. Yeah. When Maddie was talking to them both. And that's how they look at it, and I'm in the camp of wanting both. I would love to, I'd love to see them find some treasure or at least prove that the treasure was there. But I also
prove the treasure was there. For me, whether they find a whole bunch of gold or whatever, I don't care. But now I've swayed to the Rick side of the equation, and now just prove to me what happened. That's all I want to know. I just want to know the story.
Exactly. Yeah, me too.
Because they're not going to give me a share of it, so it doesn't really matter if it's there or not, right? So,
it doesn't line my bank account at all.
Despite how many million views you get on your podcast, we're still not going to get a cut. So
I don't know if it was. Yeah. So anyway, but I really enjoyed that picture there. You know, you could see how they actually cut away in there. And that's going to be revealed a little bit more. You can see the C1 can at that point still in the ground right here next to Gerhardt's water truck.
Hmm.
The C1 can, and that's just a lid that they put on it. You know, it sits down on the the casing that's still in
Yep.
the ground, and it just sits on top of it so they can mark it. Obviously, they removed it and put a lid on the casing so they could cover up the money pit to get the all the equipment in there this year. And I brought up this map here. This one was kind of interesting. It looks like a tangled mess. Quite honestly, it was you know, hard, kind of hard to look at because of all the stuff that's going
Yep.
on. But it is interesting if you follow some of the and you can't. I know you can't read it on here. There's quite a bit of information in this map that they created, but um, and it talks about all the other lots and all the things that are going on. But you wonder, you know, I guess the biggest takeaway from this is when Zig says it's a beautiful thing. He loves this stuff. Yeah, you
Oh
sure
yeah,
do.
Zig would like this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But it just shows you. The takeaway from this is to say, oh my gosh, look at all that they have accomplished. And you know, you talk about the 12 years that they've been working on the island. You know, and this is just a smidgen of all the work that they have
Hmm.
done. Um,
And people say yet they haven't found anything.
and yet they haven't found anything, but
Well,
yet they have.
they just found one shaft that we know of now that nobody even knew was there.
Exactly. Exactly.
So when they say, you know what, there's places here you could still hide a car, yeah, there is.
Hmm. Yep. Thank you, Linda. That was very nice of you. I appreciate that very much. And this, of course, being the thing that we want to, decided if they could find Shaft 2. Now, as the legend goes, Shaft 2 was the first searcher tunnel that they knew of that had been recorded in recorded history, had been put in 14 feet southeast of the money pit.
Correct.
So they thought, well, if we can find Shaft 2, then we can measure and we'll get a better idea of where the money pit is because
Hmm.
it has been lost over the years. And you know, I was very happy that they had done this and they were looking for Shaft 2 and the results of what they've come across is mind blowing as we'll get to that in a minute. But somebody had mentioned this, you know, to me earlier, I think in Discord and has asked the question. I think Ryan was the one that asked the question, why didn't they go look for Shaft 2 before? If it was 14 feet away from the money pit, why did they wait until season 12 to go look for it?
Priorities.
I don't know the answer to that. If we were on the island and we were working with Rick and Marty and the team, we'd probably know the answer to that right off the bat. But they,
I would say
you know,
priorities.
yeah, I would agree with
Go
that.
with the information we know. And
Mm,
also, you know, everybody, you know, you put shaft two in that diagram. If you listen to the guys talk last night, whether it's Marty or Craig or whoever,
mhm.
you know, it doesn't matter. They all say what we think is shaft two,
Yes, yes.
right? No one ever conclusively says this is shaft two. It's all we think this is shaft two. This is the area of shaft two. We're convinced this is shaft two, but no one ever actually comes out and says it 100% that this is shaft two.
Well, Coach says they did look for it in season 7, and I do remember, you know, some of that. But again, this time they took a concerted effort to go out there and dig this thing up and actually get a marker on it. Get out Guptill out there with his GPS and get a pointer on it. There are yeah, a conflicting shaft map. Some have two names, yes, and
Hmm.
I think that's part of the problem with it all, Zane. I really do. Um, they're going by records passed down for 226 years. So remember all those shafts were in the area of the collapse. Who would have thought they would have survived? Yeah.
Hmm. We know one thing for sure, though.
What's that?
Dunfield wasn't in that area,
Right.
or that
Exactly.
have been gone.
Yeah. Dunfield, and again, we go back to and then people talk about the Dunfield era and what he had done with his dig, 100-foot in diameter and all this kind of stuff going
Mhm.
down, but it was a cone.
It's cone shape. Yeah.
It was cone shaped because the walls were collapsing. So it ended up being only about 10 feet around in the bottom of the
Hmm.
hole, and the top of the hole was 100. So he missed a lot on his way down digging that thing. And obviously, he missed the money pit because he never did find that at all.
Hmm.
This was another little graphic that they showed here. The money pit, 14 feet away from shaft two. Just a quick and simple.
Yeah.
Now, remember, shaft two was the shaft that was drilled down or built down to 110 feet. It was because the money pit had flooded. This was in
Yep.
1805
Hmm.
that they did shaft two, and this was just after 1795. They were working and they had it flooded. That the money pit had the original money pit shaft had flooded, and so they got together and they put some trying to get some money together to do another operation, and they was 1805 when they actually started doing shaft two, and then they were going to come across. They didn't make it all the way over, so when they did get over by the money pit, boom, it flooded, and they had to get the heck out of there, and then they were
Hmm.
abandoned shaft two. I was reading again in Randall Sullivan's book that I've got right here. The Curse of Oak Island book by and it was in this was in chapter 4 that he talks about that. Um, and it says John Smith had filled both the money pit and the second hole dug 14 feet away by the Onslow Company, which had become known over the years as shaft number 2. So they had filled it back in, and probably because of the water, right? But this was what Randall Sullivan had put in his book on there. Um, so interesting stuff that you get from all these people. And I got my little markers and stuff.
Hmm.
So much good information in these books
It is a
written
good
by
book.
them.
Yep.
And Scott Clark's book is another fantastic one with
Excellent
a lot of
resource. Yep.
references. Yeah. Great resources.
Hmm.
Yeah, he said it put away. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I heard
Hmm.
that. Yeah. This is a little diagram that they showed. And again, this goes back to what Zane was saying earlier about the different maps showing the different numbers. Because they thought that the garden shaft was shaft 12, was it? At one point?
Mm.
And then they weren't
Yeah.
sure. I don't know if they're absolutely sure what
Yeah.
shaft it was.
And every company that went down there and started drilling or putting down shafts had their own shaft numbers.
Hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, you go right up into the 1850s, and the Truro Company is putting down shaft one, shaft two, and shaft three. Well, that's
Mhm.
long after that map,
Yep.
you know. But still, if you get your records confused or, whatever, it could be one could easily be marked for another.
Right. Exactly. So here you've got the shaft number one, which was the original money pit, and then they built 14 feet away. They put in shaft two, which ended up flooding out as well.
Hmm.
So they were unable to use it. You got 3, 4, 5 over here. 5 was trying to intercept the flood tunnels
Block the
um,
flood tunnel. Yeah.
to block them off. Which 9 is just simply that it's the flood tunnels coming in, and then you got 6 and 7. 10 I thought was pretty interesting because this is something that we were just talking about. Tom and I were talking
Mhm.
about before the show started. Number 10 is interesting because it is the cellar to Smith's house.
Yep.
Now we talk about this a little bit, and I had done a little show, a little 3-minute short video I had done. You can find it out there. It's called John Smith's House on the Money Pit, and we were looking at a picture that was from when I forget what the episode was, or was it? It
So that
was
was one of those 5-minute clips that the History Channel did about different topics on Oak Island. They were just
right,
on there for a few months and then they were gone. I tried to find them today, but they did these individual clips on
mhm,
specific topics. And this little 5-minute clip was on the secrets of John Smith's house being at the money pit.
right. And it had Steve Guptill, and and Steve Guptill had gone out onto the money pit, and he had marked out, with that where they think the house was,
Mhm.
according to Doug Kroll and his information as well. And Doug is standing where the house was, and if you see
Correct.
his where he's pointing And go ahead, Tom. You had some.
Yeah, no, where he's standing is where they, based on the historical records, where they think the house was, and the house was facing towards that crane, so he could watch, so he could actually keep an eye on the money pit
Mhm.
from the front of his house.
Yeah.
And it was said to be in the proximity of where that crane is, right behind the garden shaft.
Mhm.
That's what he's pointing at.
Yep. So it's in the general area of where they're looking now. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, when he owned that property, that lot, and he had his house built there, so when he sat on his front porch, he could look out at the money pit
Hmm.
as they were going along. So pretty interesting. Well, and that so they talk about on that particular map, they talk about the seller to his house. Um, and I'll bring that back up right here. So number 10, the seller to the house, looking back toward
Hmm.
the money pit.
Yep.
Interesting.
So keep that in mind as we go along.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Um, this this map here is a big mess. Um, Laura, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Laura. It's really nice of you. Really helps. Thank you. Um, so the reason this is a spaghetti mess of a map here, and this is one of showing all of the or many of the boreholes that they put in, the 6-inch boreholes that Choice Drilling has been putting in all over the island, or all over the Western Drumlin or the Eastern Drumlin. Great to be back for another season. Thank you, Craig.
Mhm.
Yes, it is. It is great to be back for another season. Glad to have Tom sitting on the riding
It's good
shotgun with
fun.
me and
Yep.
getting this all
We're going
done.
to figure this thing out, folks.
We do have to figure this out. But the reason that I really wanted to look at this picture or bring this picture up was because of this reason right here. Okay. Supposing they knew where shaft 2 was located, and that's what you see right here. And you see that they have, in fact, drilled boreholes down into shaft 2 because you see several of them
Hmm.
right here, and you see the walking of the actual drill as it goes down. It walks depending upon the. It's going to take the path of least resistance as it
Yep.
goes down, so it's going to move and walk a little bit as it goes down, 200 feet or whatever, how deep it goes. Even this one right here. The thing I really wanted to point out was, and think about this when we get to the pictures where it shows what they found. What do you not see over here? No, there's no drilling going on over there at
Nope.
all. Nothing. So keep that in mind because they did not drill. They only did a couple down in the supposed shaft too. And what would they have found? Nothing. Honestly, if they came
No.
down here, they would have found wood. They would have hit wood.
Yep.
Same way with on this one
Hmm.
and these over here. But that one there would have found nothing at all but dirt all the way down. And
Hmm.
Terry Matheson would have been saying, "Yep, we just got regular old."
And not only that, but you take the second circle you put just above where it says shaft 2. Well, you start sinking your drill down there. You hit wood for a while,
Yeah,
and then it walks. So you figure, oh, I just hit a piece of timber.
yeah, yeah.
Because you
That
get
one.
nothing the rest of the way down with in situ soil.
Yeah. Each circle on that drill goes down 10 feet of depth. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. And they put a little gyro down there to each one of these little circles you see on these lines is a where they put the gyro down there to get a to find out where it's walking so they could follow it. So they
Hmm.
knew what because where they started off on the surface level is not where it ends up down at the bottom. So okay. But I wanted to show that because the area where they actually found this other shaft um, was they didn't do any drilling over there at all.
Well, there's nothing there.
Right, which again, if you look at this picture, is right here.
Hmm.
Nothing, not a thing. They would have never known because they
And
didn't know that it
there
was.
was no record of a shaft being there.
Uh-uh. Nope.
They had no
So
reason to drill there.
right, exactly. So they have DN7, which is the borehole that they were working on in during the episode last night. So they have that, but they also are showing shaft 2, which is what they were looking for. From shaft 2, which direction is northwest? Actually pointing towards the where DN7 is. That's northwest.
Yep.
Because north, I think, is actually straight up in this picture.
Yep.
So I think This is north going this way. So that would be your
Correct.
northwest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, for sure.
And yeah, and the Smith's Cove's over that way.
Correct.
And in this picture here, this is where they were digging for shaft 2. This is where they figured it was. I'm going to back up here. Shaft 2. It actually, and again, you have to remember that this is an artist rendition. This is what they put together probably back at Prometheus to lay out the grid, and so it's not exact. This is not an exact. Where the boreholes are on the grid are exact to the grid, but the grid and the look in the picture underneath it is not exact. So keep that in mind as we go through this, because here it is. They're looking for shaft 2, and they're doing some digging right here, and they actually come down and they start finding some wood down there. Now, and again, I want to stress this because we get so many people that say, "Oh my gosh, they're finding wood." Who the heck cares about wood? Thank you, Gina. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's really nice of you guys. I thank you. It really helps to keep the show going. It really does. Thank you so much. Um, so they're working this shaft 2 right here, and they're finding wood, but the idea is that they can date the wood. Now, what's important about dating the wood when you're looking for shaft 2, and that shaft 2 was put in 1805?
Yeah. You need to know where it was, who was there when. Does it relate?
Right. So if they date the wood and they get a date of around 1805, they know that they're pretty confident at that point that it's shaft 2,
Hmm.
right? That's how they know. Otherwise, you don't know if for some reason you may have hit a piece of wood that I don't know that's from something else that you're not aware of, like the other tunnel they found. So there they are digging this one. And I threw this picture in there because, so many times we wonder, did they put a camera down that borehole? Did they do this? Did they do that? What do you see in this picture?
Hmm.
How about a drone going down the hole? I hope, is it Kimmy? Is that how you pronounce your name? Kimmy? Thank you so much, Kimmy. That's a super sticker. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So there you got a drone going down in the hole so they can get a better look. We saw
That's a lot safer than Rick hanging off the side of a high hole or
going
an
down in an
excavator.
excavator.
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that before, right?
Mm.
I would rather risk a drone than Rick's life going down in the bucket of an excavator. Or Marty, he had a harness on. Both of them did have harnesses on or whatever, but
Mm.
still, I mean, that's still
Small
very, very dangerous.
consolation when the world's coming down around your ears.
Yes, exactly. But they did put a drone down. I happened to just at first I was going through the show. I was like, wait a minute, what was that? And I backed it up and I couldn't get a clear shot of what this was. And sure enough, it's a drone. So there you have it, a drone going down there to get a better look. And you saw Peter Finetti standing up there with a mirror, and they were trying to show him, hold the mirror so they could
That's a
see
pretty
down in
smart
the.
idea.
Very smart idea. Very smart.
Yeah. As long as the sun's out, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Granted, the sun had to be shining. So let's see here. Oops, let me get rid of that. So, and again, I'm grabbing these different pictures mostly so I can get my orientation together. Is what I was doing by all of these, trying to see exactly right here that this is the edge of what's left of the women's memorial there.
Yep.
Wayne says, "Who would have thunk that the mirror was being used for light? I thought it was for Billy to see. It was well, it
Could be.
was a little bit. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's totally possible. I mean, if you drive your car into, to put it up on a hoist in a mechanic's place, you got the mirror up there in the ceiling, and that mirror is for you to be able to see down, in front of your vehicle to drive onto the ramp. So, yeah, it could be. It could be used for that, no question.
Yep. Except for when he's down 30 feet, he can't see down there
You
anyway.
can't see anything. No.
They have to guide him by radio to find it. But and that mirror was allowing them to remember how they said that's how the ancient Egyptians used when they built the pyramids. That's a whole nother subject I don't want to get into. But
Yeah,
they
that
were
was
talking
cool.
about the use of mirrors and bouncing the light all the way in there so they could see what they were doing, working on stuff. But I grabbed this picture here because I wanted to get a look at these drainage pipes that are sticking out. And I saw them, and at first I'm thinking, what in the world are all these drainage pipes doing sticking out here and there?
Yeah,
Here's one here, and then
yeah.
here's one
Corrugated
sticking out.
pipes
Yeah,
all over the place.
yeah. Well, think about the fact that, yeah, drain pipes. Think about the fact that when they built the garden shaft and they put that concrete platform on there, there's a couple
Mhm.
pipes that they put in for that.
Yep.
Um, Women's Memorial, different things like that. Remember too that the money pit has been built up. How many feet was it, Tom? Do you remember? 10 feet or
It's
so?
got to be at least 10 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they said that the money
Yeah.
pit has been actually built up about 10 feet um, from where it was originally.
Mhm.
And we'll get another look at that in a little bit. You'll see exactly a
Yeah.
better look
And
at
the other
12
thing
feet.
too is
Okay,
the
Zane says
the
it's
the
12.
woman's memorial used to be just a pond, right? So they could have had some drainage in there for that pond as well.
Right. Yeah. So they did put some drain pipes in there. Obviously, those are all new and, relatively
Oh
new
yeah,
over the
there's
years. So, anyway,
leftovers.
yep, leftover stuff. Brenda, thank you so much. She's thanking you and me, Tom. Thank you very much, Brenda. I appreciate it. Um, uh, oh, okay. All right. I was just looking at a note from Linda there. So anyway, and you can see the mirror. That's what he's doing with the mirror. He's shining it down there so they can see different points.
Mhm.
They found a spike. Um, that was from Gary doing a little bit of metal detecting in the spoils that were coming up out of this hole. He found a spike. And just a few minutes later, well, in showtime,
Mhm.
um, Rick finds a peg,
Yep. Wooden dowel. Yep.
a wooden dowel. Now we don't know what that wooden dowel was used for, but now here's an interesting point that I kind of thought of. Rick finds a wooden peg or a dowel, and Gary found a metal fastener. So think about this: that you're looking at different ages or different time periods um, that would have been used for fasteners to put something together.
Yeah, it depends on whether you're using a straight. If you're going to nail a plank to a cross piece, or if you're going to do sort of the mortise and joint of two heavy timbers, right?
Mhm.
The spike's not going to do you any good. You're still going to need to use the dowel.
Right. And the dowel also, if you go back in time, the dowel would have been used years and years and years ago. And they said that
Oh yeah,
the spike was the rose head spike. And I think on the show they said from the 1780s to the
1700s. Yeah.
1840s, that particular style. Richard, thank you. And
Mm.
Michelle, thank you so much, folks. I really appreciated it. It honestly, you know, it really helps. Let me
Keeps the
read
lights
this.
on.
Yeah, it keeps the lights, keeps the show going. Let's see. What I want to see what Richard had said here. Surely I haven't Berman Young live. What? Been shooting fireworks shows. What? Glad we are back to the season. Yes, we are too. We're very glad it's back. We're back going. April said a wooden connector. Yeah, if it was a Gretchen mentioned. Thank you. Hi, Gretchen. By the way, Gretchen mentioned that if that was it's a heavy duty wooden spike, it would be a bigger than I would have expected they would use to hold two planks together. But you're talking about different time periods as well, and I think that's important to look at. Is that spikes would have been used in the 1700s,
Mhm.
1800s, and you got wooden dowels would have been used
Take
many
a look
many
at
years.
that plank that they hauled out of there. I mean, it's what, 4 inches thick, 5 inches thick.
Yep, yep,
You're gonna need if you're gonna excuse me, gonna take some pretty serious force to drive something through that.
yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
They
Hi,
do
Gretchen.
find. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just saying hello to Gretchen. She said hi to us.
Oh, yep. Um, they do find some planks, which they are starting to say, okay, this must be, they got a wall that you're looking at down the side of a wall right here. We kind of highlighted this last week when we were going through the trailer for the show.
Yep.
You see the planks on the wall here. So it looks like they found, what they think was shaft two. They went down and they actually ripped off some of the planking on the side down below because they wanted to get down to where the more black or the older planks were. They had made a comment on the show about how it may have been the how the top of it more toward the surface might have been rebuilt.
Mhm.
So they wanted to get down deeper and get a board off of there so they could do the uh, dendrochronology on it and try to get a date of the wood. So he reached down there with the long reach excavator and he broke off this one plank you see sticking out down here and brought it up to the surface so they could get. how long does it? They said weeks. I mean, is it? It's it's got to be terribly long to get that data back. I don't know what the
I'm
actual.
not sure. I'm
Um,
not sure. Yeah, I'd be surprised if they had it by the next show, but you never know.
yeah,
They
I
could
would
have it
love
by the
for 'em to
next.
have it.
They could have it by the next show, and just by the fall, and edit it back into this show before it goes on. I mean, it's
Yeah,
impossible to say.
yeah, and that's something too that I wanted to point out tonight is that remember, folks, that a lot of times when they're filming the show, um, we see things from different time periods during the filming season. Sometimes you see shots when they're there wearing jackets in the spring when it's kind of cold still, and then you see shots when the leaves are big on the trees and it's very hot out and everybody's sweating. Keep in mind that they do switch around and grab different scenes in something that they might find, let's say in late May, may not be relative, but then later on in the summer during the filming season, they find something that ties back to that. Oh,
Exactly.
now it's important.
Hmm.
And they put it together into the same episode to
Hmm.
do that. So keep that in mind. It's not
And
a,
that's why building those databases that people like Emma are building
yeah,
now, because what didn't mean anything 2 years ago is, as we'll see when they get talking to the lab, now means something.
yeah, very good point. Exactly. So they do switch around stuff, and we know that they do that. There was a lot of that going on, and I was noticing it a lot. When they were actually digging this, and the guys were. Then they showed a little bit later the guys were drilling in the money pit on DN7, and their tent is set up exactly where they're digging this hole right
Yep.
here, right over top of shaft two. So obviously it wasn't going on at the same time. So they were grabbing different scenes from different portions of the filming season. So
Yeah.
just
Make
keep
it
that
fit.
in
Make it fit.
make it fit. Yeah, here's another look at that. And this is when they were digging down and pulling off those pieces of the shaft two. And they still got the mirror going, and you see Peter standing here with his harness on. Thank goodness.
Mm.
Um,
I
you know,
loved it when Marty tried to peek over the hole and Guppo reaches out and,
yeah.
whoa, hold it, boss.
And Rick, yeah, he put his hand
Yeah.
over in front of him, and Rick's holding on to the back of
Mhm.
his shirt, like, "Hey, hold on, little brother, don't fall in that hole." But yeah, so there, and you see the pipes, you see these PVC pipes in the ground, where they've left some of those drill holes because they want to go back and they keep testing for
Mhm.
water and stuff in the in the water, check the water samples down there over in Aladdin's cave and whatnot. And then when they wrap it all up, they get all they're pretty much done. They're like, okay, we're done here. Go ahead, Billy, fill it all back in. We're leaving.
Yeah.
They all walk away and let Billy. He's standing there going, "Oh, I guess I better get back in the excavator. I got to fill
Mhm.
these holes in." They found out what they needed to at that point. I mean, they still at this scene here, they had not yet found um, the second shaft, which is coming up.
Yep.
You see here, and I love this picture here because this gets a good look at a couple of things that I wanted to point out. A good look at two things here. One was the long reach excavator and how he had to go down so deeply. You also see the cutaway in the back of the hillside. But here's something that I want to point out that I was talking, and I seen Zane came out and said 12 feet. Here you see how much they have added. And there's another picture we can look at later on that it defines it a little bit better. But how much they have added to the height of the money pit since the Laginas have taken over and redone this whole surface of the money pit area. Here's your line. You see that difference right there
Yep.
between all this material that's here on top and the material that's down here. There's your 10 to 12 feet of material has been added on top of what was originally the money pit.
And that's
So
just
when
what
they
that's
go
just what
ahead.
the guys have added.
Yes. Yes.
That's not anything that's been pushed around or left over or dug up or whatever from people like Dunfield.
Right. And I noticed that Billy was separating his piles. He's
Mhm.
got, some of the deeper spoils over here on this side, and then he's got that top surface spoils over here, so he can put that back on top of it when he fills the holes
Yep.
back in. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out to you that there's where you have that difference. So whenever they're figuring we're going down, to 90 feet, they have to figure in that extra. If they say, okay, shaft two was 110 feet down, it was 110 feet down from that surface level at that
At
time.
that time. Yeah.
If they've added 10 feet, 10 or 12 feet on top, They've got to factor that in.
Hmm.
Just wanted to point that out. Most everybody probably already knows that, but I just thought it was important to point it out.
Background
Now,
information.
yeah. Um, Now, here's interesting where they were signing. They got this question mark here. They shaft two. Okay, so that's shaft two. Then what the heck was this? And they started digging down over here next to it, and they were finding another shaft,
Hmm.
a shaft that they didn't. Now, you and I were kind of jokingly saying something about which shaft is shaft two.
Yep.
Do they know?
2A or not 2A? That is the question.
Right. I, how do you know for sure?
They don't.
I don't know how you would when they're that close together.
They don't.
And you're and Rick, I mean, look at and he was saying how this other shaft is so perfectly preserved,
Yeah.
like the garden
It's
shaft
this
was.
basically a mirror image of the garden shaft.
A mirror image of the garden shaft.
Hmm.
Exactly. I brought this picture here up because of the holes. Do you see the holes? I mean, you got a beautiful look at this wall.
Hmm.
So you got a great look at this beautiful wall right here. Okay. But look at this over here
Yeah.
and right here. Um, that is a hole. And so is right here above it and all the way over here. This ground, and it may not be that shaft, the wall. I just said perfectly preserved,
Hmm.
but it looked like it up there. But what's down below?
Hmm. I
You
wonder
know,
if those holes might be where they hauled some wood out of. Of course, one of them's round, so probably not.
yeah, I don't know about this one over
Mm.
here, but possibly.
'Cause that's the inside wall we're looking at there, right?
No, this would be the outside
Oh, that's
wall.
the outside. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
because
You're right.
the
Yep.
shaft
Yeah.
goes this way up here.
Yeah. The supporting timbers are on the inside. Yep.
Correct.
And the
Yeah,
boards go on the outside to hold the pressure. Yeah.
yeah, yep. So that was interesting. These holes.
Mm.
Yeah, Henry, that's possible, and they could have pulled a board or two out of there, but it's yeah. The tea lady said all these shafts are confusing. They are very much so. And I noticed
Because I mean,
John
they have no
Case said
record
the
of that
blue
shaft
clay.
being there.
Yep.
Right.
Um,
There's no record of that shaft even being there.
nope,
So,
nope. Unless it
and they
is
and they
actually
found and they found 3 shafts within 30 feet of each other.
that's the interesting thing too. Yeah, and in the blue clay, I saw a lot of blue clay coming up out of that ground when he was excavating. I made a note of that too as we are going along. So thank you for pointing that
And
out,
Christina says,
John.
"Could it be a borehole?" Well, you know, they
It
weren't doing any
maybe
boring in that area, but well, not that we know of,
right,
but it could
right.
be.
Yep,
It could be there was a borehole there that just missed
right.
from an earlier program. They pulled it out, and the void is still there.
Mhm. So if shaft two is this one over here in this area, what in the world is this one? And there he is. He's standing on the concrete
Mm-hmm.
platform of the garden shaft. You see a couple of drain pipes sticking out over here that they put in. And there's the top of it. And I used this
Yep,
picture for tonight's thumbnail because
that's a great picture.
that is an excellent picture. So what in the heck is that? What shaft is that?
Hmm.
Is that shaft two? And they were just off a little bit. I'm really
So if shaft 2 is 14 feet from the supposed money pit, wouldn't that be closer to where Doug Crowell said he thought the money pit was?
yes,
Right? If he thought the money pit was directly behind the garden shaft, we're not too far away.
right. Now the question I was going to throw this out to you, Tom, as well as the chat. When they were digging down the original money pit shaft, did they? I'm assuming they would have lined it with like with shaft walls and stuff as they went down to keep it from collapsing, right? Because they got down to the 90-foot stone area supposedly.
You're not going to dig 90 feet down there without some kind of supporting
Right.
timbers.
So as they were digging down, I mean, we got the garden shaft. And I'm supposing here. I'm going out with some of my speculation, looking at
Mhm.
this. You've got three shafts, like Tom said earlier, and they said on the show last night. You got three shafts that are basically 10 feet apart from each other, okay, or 30 foot or 40 foot, but
Mhm.
between the three of them. And this would be, of course, the garden shaft, which is here, of
Mhm.
course, this mystery shaft that is right here, and then shaft two, which is, well, right over here. You can see the edge of the hole right here of it. So you got three shafts all right here. And like Tom just said, if shaft two was done 14 feet from the original money pit, could that be the original money pit? There was speculation that they said that
Mm.
wouldn't it be funny if the garden shaft turned out to be the original money pit?
Yep.
I don't know. But again,
Of the three structures, that's the only structure that nothing was left in, isn't it?
um
The garden shaft still had stuff in it because when they originally dug out the garden shaft, they had the pictures of the ladder sticking out of the ground,
yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And this new garden shaft, or two, sorry, pardon me, shaft two, I think still had things contained within the shaft.
Mhm.
But this one, this 2A, when they dug it out, it had nothing in it
Yeah,
but dirt.
but dirt.
So why is that?
And it didn't have any of the sets.
No
Uh
sets, no ladders,
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
So it was filled in. Now, if it goes down, we know it goes down at least 30 feet because that's how far he could reach with the excavator.
Mhm.
So could you get down 30 feet with just ladders? Yeah, probably. If it goes deeper than 30 feet, where did the sets go?
Right.
Why aren't they still there?
Yeah. That's a very, very good question. So it makes me wonder what that really is. And I saw it, David said at the money pit, they initially hung the cribbing from a collar built at the top of the shaft pit or
Mhm.
pit. Um, yep.
If you remember when the guys supposedly dug out the original money shit pit, there was, the layer of logs every 10 feet.
Yeah, exactly. And so they would have had to build walls and everything to support
Oh yeah, you're not
you know,
going down.
all
You're
that.
not going down in any ground without some kind of support around you. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. So I mean, it made me wonder. It really did. It made me wonder if that could that be the original money pit?
Mhm.
I don't know. Probably not. They filled it
Why
back
would you,
in.
if it goes, to me, the question is this: if you're going to dig something 110 feet deep, or 50 feet, or 60 feet, or whatever the depth turns out to be,
Mhm.
why do you remove the interior structures
Exactly. And fill it full of dirt,
until it
packed
fills dirt?
dirt.
Why do you? So what's your possible reasons? You're trying to block it's flooding, so you start to pull everything out so you can reuse it someplace else, or you're trying to fill it full of earth to maybe block floodwaters. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe you just wanted to reuse the things that were in it because it was a dry hole. Then you couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work.
The Borchers, Texas farm. Yes, I do. They should have wrote on the side of it that this is shaft number 2, so
Yeah,
we'd know.
put some Roman numerals on them, or at least.
Something. Oh, man. Yeah. Somebody said crazy. No wonder I'm confused. Yes. Thank you. Uh, no, that is not the history of the money pit. The log platforms were embedded into thick, hard clay walls. So there it was no cribbing. Yes, but I mean, on the way down, when they were opening this up, they would have had to have supported it some way, wouldn't they?
Mhm.
I mean, they said
Mhm.
they did talk about the walls look like they had been chiseled,
Yep.
through the clay and everything on their way down, and like it had been as they were digging out the easy dirt in the middle. They were seeing the walls look like they
Mhm.
had been kind of chiseled their way down, but I don't know.
I
I
don't know.
don't know. But it just seems interesting that here we got three shafts all within 30 or so feet.
Mhm.
Um, and this one here had everything in the center was removed, at least down as far as they dug.
Mhm.
All the interior stuff was taken out. I don't know, just and it was filled in purposely. It just
Oh yeah, it didn't fill itself in, so.
no, no. They said it was filled in. They actually mentioned that on the show that it
Mhm.
was filled in purposely. But there it goes. Same as the garden shaft. So shaft 2A, uh,
Or
I
shaft
don't know,
two,
or shaft two,
or money pit.
or is it the money pit, or is the garden shaft the money pit, and it's 14 feet from this one,
You see
and
what
this is shaft
a
two.
lot of these people did was they dig down so far and then encounter water or trouble, and they would just move over a few feet, dig another shaft, hoping that the first shaft would, you know, divert the water or whatever. or they try and pump water from one shaft into another shaft.
Mhm.
So shafts could be very close together.
Yep. I don't know. So is that Tascosa, Texas, 3 to 4 weeks? Oh, okay. In Florida. Oh, in Florida for 3 to 4 weeks. Is that the Denver chronology? Yeah. So I don't know. Well, there's a
Oh,
lot
Beta
to think
Analytics,
about.
yeah, they do the yeah.
Hmm. So very interesting, though. I thought this was
Hmm.
to me this was the surprise of the episode was coming across a shaft that they did not know was there.
Well, and they missed it with the drill program out of the garden shaft.
Yep.
So that really makes me wonder how deep it goes,
Yeah.
because they didn't really get into the drill program until they were what, the side drilling, until they were down like 50, 60 feet.
Yep. Yep. Um. Yeah. Shaft one was the money pit from that map. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. One of the things too, remember about when the tunnel that they were chasing that tunnel, and they were through the drill program, the core 6-inch core drill program,
Mhm.
and they were chasing that tunnel that went all the way. It was up here. They found that spot up on top of the hill. It ran down here across the corner of the northwest corner of the garden shaft, and then continued down towards the blob. They found those boards that were at the floor, but the rest of it was gone. Well, they had taken the walls and the ceiling out, and the floor was still there. Did they use them for something else, or
Mhm.
was it purposely done that way to hide it? We just don't know the full extent of that. But
Well,
um, it's one of the reasons why I was so disappointed when we come to find out that the thing flooded, and it's still flooded to this day. They were never able to find out a good way to go back for safety concerns, to go back in the garden shaft. And I think that they were on their way to being able to get into that vertical tunnel or
absolutely.
horizontal tunnel that was down
Yep.
there. I don't
Yep.
know. That was
It
so
doesn't sound like
disappointing.
there's any immediate plans to try and remediate that either.
No, nope, does not look that way.
Mm.
All right, so we're going to see. Hopefully, obviously they have covered this back up, and they did their case on program, so this was all been
Yep.
covered up. But
Well,
they
Marty
did.
say if he was going to drop a case on right down that shaft too.
He said something about that. Do you think he
Yep.
did?
Yep. Well, I don't know if they did or not, but he said, give me something to, basically give me something to shoot at, and
Yep.
this looks like a good spot to drop one. But whether
Yeah.
they did or not, we'll find out, I guess, as the year goes on. But
Right. This was a picture taken from inside when Billy Gerhardt was taking the excavator and he was digging out in the long reach and taking the dirt out from inside of this mystery shaft 2A. So that's a shot of that right there. And there's all the guys looking down in the hole going, what the heck is this
mm,
thing? Ah, so yeah. And there was a comment made by Rick, and I wrote it down. It says, "We have found more shafts not recorded than shafts that we know about."
yep.
So what does that tell you? Not, you think, so you thought the records were really good about all the tunnels and shafts and everything there. No, they're not all that great. We don't know exactly how many there are. So that count could be terrible. All right. So moving on from the money pit area, we're jumping over to talking about these. I'm getting the wave.
Yep.
Yes. Is it time for the
Giveaway
giveaway?
time.
Thank you, Linda. I told you I was
Mm,
going to forget.
No, I had it written down right here.
You were going to stop me if she
I was
didn't?
gonna stop you if she didn't.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hello, Linda.
So
How
there
are
I
you?
am, waving my
Mm,
arms,
I did finally notice.
shouting,
Need a
and you
sign.
can't hear me.
I don't know how long you were waving your arms, but I did eventually see you.
Just for a
All right.
minute.
Now I have a picture here. I'm going to bring this picture up. This is what we are giving away tonight. This is a tumbler made by Blue Six Laser. And that is Jess Grollo. And we just had Jess and her husband Mike on the show last Thursday, because they are continuing their search for treasure and whatnot in the Great Lakes. And they're going to have some interesting things to come talk about, but it's gotta be so hard to try to find time and being able to get back out there when the weather is good to do their research out on Lake Michigan. But anyway, this is our giveaway. These are she does all the laser work on these, and this has a Bluetooth speaker in the bottom. If you can see down there at the very bottom, you can see the little controls for it.
And
So
it lights up around the bottom.
It's gotta be
and
cool.
change
I gotta
the
have some of these.
colors. They're
I
pretty
gotta have a
nice.
couple of these.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet.
Okay, so we're going to give this away now. How you become eligible for this? First of all, you have to be a member of our Facebook group page, which is the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond and Skinwalker Ranch. There is a link for it down in the description of the show tonight. You can look down there, click on that. It'll take you over to our Facebook group page, and you can ask to become a member. You do get vetted. We do vet. Linda and Jan and Tom are very good about going through all the vetting process to make sure that you are not a bot and we try to be, we are a fan group. Keep that in mind. So if you're coming there to poo-poo everything that's going on,
you're in the wrong spot.
You're really in the wrong spot.
You won't last
There
long.
are so many groups where all that negative stuff and all that nastiness is allowed.
Yeah.
And if that's your thing, that's great. But you need to go to one of those groups.
Yeah. If you want to do that, go over to those groups. They don't care. Have fun with it, but not in our group. So anyway, you must be a member of our group. And Linda will put out a picture prior to the show coming up that following Wednesday. She'll put out a picture of what the giveaway is. All you have to do in that post is comment yes. That's it. Just comment yes. And your name goes into the spinner that she will do for tonight to spin and see who gets to win this particular giveaway. So let's get rid of this. And you must be eligible. You must be here. You must be present to win. We do the spin and we get a name. We call out that name and we need you to pop up in the chat and say, I'm here. So we know that you're here. And then we'll take all the arrangements from there.
And we don't wait forever. We give you a minute to tell us you're here, and then we'll spin again.
Right.
So
if you're thinking about stepping away to go to the restroom, don't.
Not now.
Don't do it.
Now is not the time.
Not your time.
All right. Are you ready, Linda?
I'm ready.
All right. Let me put you in solo mode.
See if I can get this in the right space. We'll try it anyway. Okay, here we go. And no sound. Sorry.
Yeah, no sound on this one. That's all right. We see the names all flying by. Woof, look at all the names on there. My goodness.
There are a ton. You have to tell me when it stops.
Seth Bridges, it stopped. Seth
Bridges. Sether.
Are you here? I haven't seen Seth.
He was here.
Was he? Seth, are you here?
I saw
Zane's name go by too. Seth, let us know. We do have a. Oh, there he is. I did it. All right,
Seth. All right, I will have Jess send this to you, and I already have your address.
Yep.
So I'll have Jess send it to you.
All right. Yep. Congratulations. Seth.
Next week is a T-shirt and a magnet donated by Jeff and Christina Freeman. So watch for that. I'll post it on Friday.
Is that one of the ones that we got at the Oak Island?
The Oak Island Treasure Shop. You bet.
Right. Yeah, we picked up a few things at the Oak Island Treasure Shop when we were there in August, and so we sent them to Linda so she could do that and give them away. So and we have donations coming from all kinds of people. So, all right, congratulations, Seth. There you are. You finally won something, and you got to tell me how this thing is because I've got to get Jess has got to send me a couple of these things. So, because these are cool. These are really cool. All right. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate you very much.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
All right. We will continue on. Now, part of the show, they went over to look at, they were talking about Nolan's Cross, which is becoming more and more important into this whole story of Oak Island as we go along, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Last year, they had these stone piles or cairns, as they were being called. I heard a couple of different names for them, those stone piles or cairns. The interesting thing about these was the shape that they were laid out in. And I guess for a long time, Fred Nolan, he didn't really know what they were all about. He went over and he started to take them apart, thinking that they were on top of something that was important. Um, but they may have been just a simple layout. And one of the areas that they went over, that's what this picture here was talking about, Cone E down here on the bottom of Nolan's Cross. Now, you remember last year they had actually brought over a truck, a crane truck, and they actually picked up Cone E, and they went underneath it. They found a piece of conglomerate, they called it, like a concrete almost.
Like a concrete solution or concrete. Yep. Piece of concrete, really.
Yeah, like a piece of just a basic piece of concrete. They found this thing underneath Cone E. Marty did. He jumped down in the hole and he fished around down there, and he came up with the stonecrete or concrete.
Concrete.
Concrete. So they found this piece, and again, I don't know why. First of all, let me continue on, then I'll ask my question. So they bring out another one because Marty wants to get under there again. He wants to pick it up and have another look underneath it and do some more work. The idea behind it is to pick this thing up, pick up the soil, look at some of the soil that's underneath, any kind of organics that are down there. They can date the organics. That would tell them when that stone was placed on that spot, because no organics are going to get under there after the stone is sitting on top of them for 100 years. So that's the idea behind it. They want to be able to look and see at the organics and get a date of when that stone may have been placed there, because there is some speculation as to who built this, who constructed Nolan's Cross. And it was a monumental effort. You think about it, even in today's world, they would have had to go around with this little crane truck and try to drive around the island and put them in place and set them all up. Somebody had done it, and it had to be for an important reason.
Yep.
They're not going to just do it to say, oh, look at that. I got that done. That was fun. So anyway, they bring out another one because he wants to get back under there again and have a better look. So there they are picking up the stone, and they're dumping all the spoils that they went in there with an excavator and dug out the hole underneath the stone and put it onto this tarp here. And then they want to go through those spoils and see what they can find to do some dating. Now, in the process of doing that, they found another chunk of this concrete or whatever it is. Now, the question I have is,
someone says concretion.
Concretion. Now, the question I have is, first of all, chat and Tom, do you think this is natural? And the second question is, why, if it's not, why would you put it? What's the reason for putting it under there in the first place?
If it was natural, there'd be more of it.
Okay,
in my
good
opinion.
point.
Like it looks. I mean, if you knew what hard pan was, if you ever dug into a side of a hill or a mountain that had hard pan on it, hard pan looks very similar to that. It's like it's a concretion. It's very hard ground. You need a bar to break through it. It's as tough as trying to break through concrete. But there would be a lot more of it there. There's layers of it, right? It's not a piece just laying there.
Yep. Zane said that soil will conglomerate over lots of time and pressure. But I like what Craig said, and this is what I was thinking, and I'm going to bring this up because Linda had to step away for a second. So the rock doesn't sink into the mud and get deeper and deeper. So was it like a base material underneath it at one point? I don't know. Maybe that's kind of what I was thinking. The stone I saw was oblong, and the light flashed underneath the large end of the stone. Roman concrete looks similar.
Yeah. And there was the Becker drilling program in the Money Pit back in 1967 pulled up concrete, and it was believed to be similar to what the Romans would have used when they did the analysis of it.
So it looks like mortar with stones in it poured in as a base. That's kind of what I was thinking, Kat. I was thinking the same thing, that it was a base if it is natural, and they are there. They wanted another piece of it or see if there was more. Sure enough, there is. So was it down there to make a base underneath that stone? That would be more proof that it was placed by mankind, that those cones were placed there.
Mm.
Yeah. And a big chunk this time as well. Yeah.
Yeah, or that was brought from someplace else on the island, because you're going to put something in there, you're going to throw a bunch of stuff in the hole underneath it to support it.
Right.
You wouldn't necessarily have to pour a floor. I mean, you could put a base of anything in, and the first thing you do is you put a gravel or rock base underneath it to keep it from sinking and keep it in place.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, very interesting. And again, this goes back to some of the things that they have found.
And keep in mind, the first piece that they found, which is identical in composition to this one,
Yep.
had that hair sticking out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't heard anything about that hair, have we?
Nope, not a word.
Not a word. So, and I still want to know. I want to know what that piece of hair was all about. What the heck was it? What was it doing? Stuck on there. And if a piece of hair was stuck into the conglomerate like that, that would lend more credence to it being, well, it depends on the hair, I suppose.
That would help date it, probably.
It might help date it. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, DNA, carbon dating. Yep. So they found another piece of it. So now, does that mean they should go pull up the rest of them and see if there's conglomerate underneath those? Yeah, I would say they probably should.
Depending where they are, if you can get at them with the crane.
Yeah. Now, one of them is in the swamp, and I don't know that they're going to they might find some conglomerate under that, but that one's going to be kind of tough, but who knows? They should go around to the other ones that they know where they are, pick them up and go see what's underneath them. I think if they can get decent access to it. Fred Nolan's hair, if it turns out to be human hair,
I mean, depending on when it happened, right? I mean, you take, for example, there used to be caribou in the Maritimes at one time.
Yep.
Well, we haven't seen a caribou around here in hundreds and hundreds of years. So if that's a caribou hair, that's going to put a date on it.
Splitting hairs, I see. Zombie driver.
Mm-hmm. Boom.
Nice. Yep. He'll be here all week. Okay, so we'll find out more about that as we go along here. I'm sure they're going to give us, hopefully we'll get some more information on that. I still want to know about that hair. I want to know what that was all about.
Yeah,
we haven't
had ox hair. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be ox hair for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It did look like it had black and white portions to it. I don't have a picture of it handy, but when they were showing the hair sticking out of the piece of conglomerate, it had different coloration to it. Mm. Somebody said Bigfoot hair. I don't know, right? Okay, next they jump over to lot 4. And on lot 4, they're going over to metal detect the spoils that were from lot 5 during the excavations. All the stuff that they have taken out of there that they haven't sifted through or whatever, they dump it all over here. You would think they would have found anything that was findable in that with all the work that they have done.
So if you wonder what they do with stuff, folks, they don't throw anything away.
No, they do not. Absolutely. Jeff, they don't listen to us. What? Oh, okay. I just saw that flash by. Seal whiskers. Oh, is that what? Yep. So they go over here. You got Peter Finetti and Gary Drayton coming over here to metal detect in the spoils from lot 5. And lo and behold, they come across a cut coin. I thought this was definitely a top pocket find, as Gary would call it. And it was very accurately cut, wasn't it?
Oh, it's very precise. Yeah. Nice clean cuts on both sides.
Yeah. They first took it over to the lab where Emma checked it with the machines that they talk about over and over and over again. Again, folks, I got to bring this up real quick. They do, and in Prometheus, if anybody from Prometheus is watching, and we know that they often do, we're going to start a drinking game that every time they go back in time and talk about, Mr. Phipps or, one of the machines and how they work, take a drink of wine, right? Drink wine next week. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So every time they go back in time and talk about something that we've heard 100 times, take a drink of wine. All right. We'll see where that brings you in the end of the hour-long show. But it does get a bit annoying. I know it does. And a lot of people complain about it. I know they do it for the people who haven't seen the show before.
Mm-hmm.
But on it, and also I think part of the reason they do it is so they can fill time. Because we only get 42 minutes of show and they're filling time with some of this looking back. But please try to keep it, Prometheus, try to keep the looking back to a minimum. You do it a bit too much. We heard the story about the Belchers like 5 times last night and the machines.
Yeah,
And what
we can Google it. We can Google it.
Yes, please give us more show content. Okay, I'm sorry. I get off my soapbox.
Which is what we're going to start getting next week, by the way.
What, more show content?
Tuesday night. Tales of Oak Island.
Yes, thank you. Very
Mhm.
good. Yes, Tales of Oak Island coming out. I'm excited about that show. I'm really curious what that's going to be all about. So
stuff that didn't make the show.
Stuff that didn't make the show.
Actually, the one next week, I think is going to be. It sounds like it's going to be mostly about the article. So I'm going to guess the Reader's Digest article. The one the week after is going to be the most interesting. It's about Samuel Ball.
Oh, that will be a good one because Samuel Ball is a man of mystery.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Was that Corian's voice overheard in the commercial? I don't know. Who did the voiceover? Do we know?
I don't know.
That might have to be a guessing game. We'll have to figure out.
But I would suggest there's probably some clips in there too with the trips to Europe and things like that.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. Linda says so much for the keeping out the whining and negativity. Was that me? I'm sorry. Yes, I know. I had to say it.
Well, it's a wine drinking game, so you kind of got to whine. So
yeah. There you go. Good one. All right. So we go over they went to the lab. They took a look at it. Emma confirmed that it was silver for sure. And that it was cut very precisely. And then they met later on in the war room, as you see in the picture here. And they're all talking about the cut coin once again. And she actually found what it was, what kind of a coin it was.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a quick picture of it. Here you can see some GLVI letters across here. Okay. And she was able to determine that it was this coin one of these coins right here, which I thought was fantastic. Atta girl Emma for figuring that out and getting that done. That was right spot on.
Just got to step away here for a second.
What's that?
I'll be right back.
Okay. Now this particular coin, let's see. Oh, I was looking for my notes on this. Now here's where they step back and we got into the whole thing about yes, her detective work on that coin was awesome. Absolutely. She does a fantastic job in there. They did, and here's where they step back to talking about Phipps and also Belcher and Concepcion.
Oh, okay.
When they went back on their, and they talk about this on the show, and you've heard it many times, but this dating of this coin, she said, was 1697. So interesting on that. King William III, it was an English shilling. So there you go. And that's why they stepped back and they talked about Phipps again, because this kind of ties in with that era. Once again.
Well, it also shows that in theory, the speculation is that the British came back to try and recover the Phipps treasure.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting me on that. Yes.
Right.
That's
and
exactly
that's why it's 1697.
Yes.
As opposed to the 1680s when he was there. So the rumor is, or the speculation is, that they came back to try and recover it. So that explains the date.
Right, because there was a ship found. Belcher was picked up. He was Phipps got him to. He was a mason.
Yep.
And he got him to go with him down there. And why was he seen in the Mahone Bay area with a ship, the Swan, I think it was called. And a lot of the treasure, they only went back with so much back to England with all that, with what they found. So they were wondering what happened to, was there more? And then they must have believed that there was some possible.
Yeah, they thought he was taking a little off the top or the bottom.
Yeah, shaving a little off the top. Yeah, exactly. So
he only came back the second trip around with what, 5 tons or something? Like, it was ridiculous compared to the first trip. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And so they figured that he must have been shaving. So they were off looking for it. So, oh, interesting. Phipps died in 1695. The coin is 1697. Yeah. because it was they were going back and trying to find any treasure that he may have stashed there. And
Yeah.
did they find it? Were they successful? Did they use the structure on lot 5? Or were they just there looking at it, and because it might have been more visible at that time?
And secrets are hard to keep, right?
Yep.
So, where are you going to set your base camp up? Well, somebody's going to talk sooner or later. You can't put, 100 guys on a shoreline and expect them all to keep quiet forever.
Exactly. So, yeah, great detective work by Emma Culligan.
That was impressive.
I know, because we were looking right off the bat. We were on Googling and trying to figure out what that coin was, and we were getting no luck. And she nailed it. Of course, we didn't have the GLVI at that point.
And it's silver, so that's now officially two pieces of treasure from lot 5, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Yes, indeed. Here's the little thing that they showed there. Andrew Belcher, master of the ship, the Swan. The Swan was found in Mahone Bay, when he was there. So they talked about this book here. This was the Graham Harrison, Les McPhee's book that talked about them going back and looking for the treasure that may have been cut off the top by Belcher. So these guys, if you haven't read that book, I don't have that. Do you have that particular book?
I do not have that.
I do not either. I might have to pick this one up because I love to read up on this kind of stuff. So, all right. Next week, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm not even sure when that book was published. But so you get lot 15 up there again. Yeah. But that's interesting. Lot 15. You talk about those cairns that are up there.
Yep.
When you look, I was often wondered why they were. So there they are. They're at the highest point on the island.
Yep.
Right. Pile of rocks, probably used by a lot of people to mark a lot of things in a lot of places. But if you're looking for specifically a certain location, then you would put them in a certain pattern. So there's your reasons for why they're in that pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is interesting too. When we get over here, we get to meet. They showed these guys at the beginning, or these folks, I should say, and they talk about it. I was looking for their names because I wrote their names down. But it was really
I had it here.
Jillian Parsons, Ethan Green, and Todd Langseth.
Langseth, yeah.
Yep. And they are all helping. We don't have Jamie Kuba this year, unfortunately. Jamie's not there. Nope. I kind of wish she was, but no Jamie on the island this year. She's got other things that she's doing.
She's doing some pretty cool work down in the U.S. So
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, she's been on the show with us many times. We love her dearly. Great person. And her initials pop up later on in the show too. So here you have the arrangement of the 5 stone piles, or cairns as they were calling them. And the arrangement is interesting because they found, and this was one of those things that just kind of how they come across it or find these things out blows me away sometimes. But they found that I forget where this was. Do you remember where this was when they were?
I can't recall. No,
I know it's in Jan's synopsis and the notes she wrote. Linda, do you remember where this was? Where they on the rock where they went and seen those? Yeah, I don't remember where it was, but anyway, it was a match for the star constellation that they were looking at. And it's kind of interesting, isn't it? That matches up with the way those stones. Who would do? I mean, there has to be if it's truly the star constellation marked out on the stone and marked out in those stone piles, then it has to be some sort of a sign. I mean,
well, that's to my point of you just don't put a pile of rocks and hope somebody finds it and go, okay, well, this is the only pile of rocks on the face of the earth. But if you arrange something as specific as that, then it's not random.
Right.
And that's the highest point on the island. That's what you find. You find that, you find the cross, and then you find whatever else you're looking for.
Yep. But Denmark. Thank you.
Denmark. That's your lead into finding what you need to find on that island. Without those, you don't know where to look.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's too many. There's just so many of these little symbols coming out like this. the Nolan's Cross being built that way, these stone piles being built that way, um, the drilled stones being laid out the way they are, that
Mhm.
Christopher Morford took us through the alignment and took it right to the corner of the garden shaft. Um, Hades.
Mhm.
So, um, it's just so I don't know, and you have to go back. The alignment that Professor Gaspani came up with when he was talking about the alignment of those stars going back in time to 1200. And
Yep.
it's hard, and it gets me. I get so confused when I'm looking at those stars, and then they move them, but it's moving because of the change in the years, right? The
Mhm.
placement of them in the night sky over years,
Mhm.
and so but everything lines up, and it's amazing that people can figure these things out. I'm not that smart to get that myself, but man, it sure is interesting the way they
An
are able to
interesting
come up with
science, but it is a science.
it. It is, truly is. Um, yep. So here they are. They're actually doing the work here. They're in there digging, and I love that Rick just jumps in there, and um, he give me a trowel. He's
Mhm.
got some time. He's going to dig in there and help, and that's what he was doing. He was down there, working
Marty
with a
wasn't
trowel.
Marty wasn't long giving away the lifting of the rock things to the young guy. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'll do some digging. That's
I'll
probably
do
would
no
have
digging
been,
with the rocks are here, and get the young fellows here. Let
yeah,
them
that
work.
would have been me too.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, you let the young fellows get in there and pick those rocks up. There he is, there digging away.
Hmm.
Uh, and so they're trying to find out one of the interesting things that they did find, or he pointed out, was they have some larger stones and then a lot of fill in the middle, in between them,
Mm.
to kind of fill that up and make it more of a solid base, I guess, or a wall,
Yep.
um, so to speak, in that respect. But interesting that. But also, we were trying to figure out what this was. Remember that?
Yep. We thought it was clay, but obviously we were wrong. Or I thought
Yeah.
it was clay.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was clay pottery of some
Hmm.
sort or something like that. And I thought, oh
Hmm.
boy, that's, what's that all about? What's that going to do for them working in that area? But it turns out it's slate.
Yep.
And this goes back to what Ian Spooner has always talked about with this slate, is that you got the Eastern drumlin and the Western drumlin on the
Correct.
island. And
Yep.
the Eastern drumlin is more clay based, anhydrite, they called it, um, on that side. And the other side, the west side, is more of a slate type material,
That's the shale. Yeah.
the shale. Yep. Um, and so why would they need, here they're finding this slate um over there on the other side at these stone piles.
Mm. Yep.
It it had to be important for them to be able to take that over there, and utilize it in that spot. And that's what I had another some more notes written down about these. But a layer of slate, which is from the western drumlin. The eastern drumlin was anhydrite limestone. On the western side was pyrite slate. But they also talked about the slate being had a acidic runoff, and it was a risk to watersheds. I did not know that.
Mm.
Um, but anyway, they were using this stuff and taking it over to the eastern side of the island. But
Yep.
they must have had a reason for needing it in that particular spot.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a short haul either.
No, it's not.
And you're going to the highest point in the island, so you're not going downhill. You're going uphill.
Right.
That
So,
part of the island is about 50 feet plus, from sea level,
mhm,
as compared to the money pit, which is around 30 feet.
right. Yeah, coach said for providing a base material. Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very much. Yeah. Um, so yeah. Yeah, I'm just reading back through some of the chat because I really want to. We're about ready to finish up with this part, but I want to talk to you guys in the chat here a little bit tonight too before we
Yep.
close. So, slate could make a very firm base to build on. Yeah, Jan, that's kind
Hmm.
of, yeah, actually, exactly. Um, Let's see. What did
And
Cat say?
if you're
It
gonna
has.
if you're gonna haul things around that island, if it's not in the wintertime and the ground's not frozen, you're gonna need to build some bases for things.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the last part of the episode that I put together was the drill program that's going on in the money pit at that point. And you see, this is where I took this picture because where are they sitting right there? Basically, where they dug the holes, where shaft 2, where they went to it's just on the other side of where shaft 2 hole was dug. So we know that they shift these pictures around a little bit, obviously throughout the entire filming summer.
Yeah.
And they were doing this DN7 right here is the hole they were drilling. And they're going to be doing a whole bunch because this whole area over here, they're going to be doing a lot of drilling in here. While they were doing this drilling, and this is the part that they had one that they had done, and I think it was a 14.5. It was one of these ones that was right here in front of the garden shaft that they had drilled last season, that they had all the pressure that when they drilled it, and obviously
right.
they're using
Yep.
water when they're drilling, they're using that's why they got Billy Gerhardt's water truck right there. But they hit some pressure there, and it was blowing. This air was blowing the water back up the drill pipe.
Yep.
That's where Marty made his comment. Well, whatever it is down there has to be man-made. I mean, they have to have hit an air pocket down there. That's now you just pop the cork, and now the air is blowing back up through the pipe. I mean, we talked about this a little bit before, but why do you all think that would happen? CN 14.5, was that it, Zane? Okay, the one that had blown the whole the water up there last time. So they hit some sort of they had to have hit a cavity.
Yep.
Interesting, because that there's they've been there's talk about tunnels and everything down there, and now you're drilling and you're finding that air popping back out of there. And this, if you think about this too, and I'm going to use my pointer one more time here. That shaft that they were following runs across this corner and in this direction. So is it possible that it could have been part of that shaft? Yeah. Or that tunnel, I mean, not shaft, sorry. Tunnel.
Yeah.
Tunnels are horizontal.
Very possible.
Yeah. So it is possible, and I know my line is kind of squiggly there, but it is possible that could have been.
It's not bad. I've seen worse.
So it is possible that it could be part of that same tunnel system. And was that what they were? Why is that why they drilled in that particular spot? I don't know. Could be. But it sure is interesting. But the end result of all of this was it is high of hopes as they were getting there for a little while during the episode of the drilling program there. They ended up just finding regular old blue-gray till.
Blue-gray till, yeah.
Undisturbed. And so whatever it was that they had gone through, and that's what they didn't really talk about the drill program much at all last night. Now, if they would have hit something that must have been a cavity of some sorts, but they didn't talk about it dropping at all. What does he say here? When you go underground and make a cavity and fill it back in, there's going to be air trapped in over time, and compressing down on the cavity will pressurize and cause air to do that. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, very good point. Yep, thank you. That's why we have the smartest chat and group of people that this show. That's why I love it. That's why we do these.
Come on here and just put the slides up and just read what they say.
Exactly. I mean, that's why we love doing this show. We love doing it live because you guys are awesome, and I learned so much not only from us doing this, but from you guys and your comments and everything. So, all right. At what depth did they hit the air?
109 feet.
109. Thank you. Yes.
Roughly.
Yes. I did have was there it's that picture I had right there. I did. I was going to say, as soon as you said that, this little piece of wood right here says DN7. It's upside down 109. And that's right when they were having that issue because they all that's when he came over to the table. So 109. Thank you Tom. And that's about the depth of that tunnel was running across there, was about 100 feet down. 100 to 120 was the depth of that tunnel that they were chasing last season. So, all right. So the question I have for you all, what did you think of this season premiere? I thought it was very good. I didn't expect them to come out and say they found gold and silver. I didn't expect them to come out and say they found the money pit or anything like that. So for an opening season,
they've got a season to fill here.
yeah, exactly. We've got 24 more episodes to go. Something we don't
those
know.
guys had to work 6 months, and we got to work 6 months.
Yeah. You know, I am a little bit, and while people are coming in with their responses to that, I thought it was a very good season premiere.
Yep.
Everybody's coming up with excellent. Excited to see. Let's see, what do we got? A good start. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They always had a hype for the season. Yeah, exactly. They did find silver. Yes, Albert, they did. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Treasure.
Yep, we're back. It gets me hyped. I'm very hyped for this season. I have a feeling, based upon what the birdies are saying and everybody else is kind of talking about and everything that's going on, I have a very good feeling about this season.
The story's coming together.
It really is.
Right when they start drawing connections between, lot 5, swamp, lot 10, money pit. They're finding, with the database that they're building, they're finding things in common.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea that they found this other shaft that they didn't even know was there is very interesting. What they're going to do about it in the end, I don't know. They did dig it out a little bit to see what was under it. The vault. Yep, April said the vault. That is very promising. This whole area in this swamp, in the north side of the swamp, is I can't wait. This is one of the areas I'm really excited about this year to see what they have found. Because I've been one of the people who have believed that the swamp holds answers to this mystery. And I know Jack Campbell is right there with me on this. There's answers to be found there. Why in the world would there be a stone road down there? Why in the world would there be a large stone platform that dates back to 1200s built in there? If it was not needed for a platform for, unloading ships or something.
Yep.
I don't know. I really don't know why they would have, but it's
significant work went on down there over a long time for some reason.
And the eye, he said that the eye was man-made. Dr. Spooner did.
Yep.
So I really like the premiere. The change in the format for drilling down was a great idea. Also like the sharing of some treasure proved that there were some wonderful finds. Yep. Thank you. Indy's Antics said, if you thought that there was a ship there, wouldn't you dig it out? Yeah. Yep. I don't know about the ship thing. I mean, I wanted to believe that there was a ship or a schooner, a small ship, not a big one, but at least small.
Kind of running out of time on the ship idea.
Yeah,
I thought there would be a barge in there at one time. I know Jack Campbell thought there was a ship. I thought there was a barge. We both thought there was something in there, but it seems like we're running out of time on that one.
Yeah, we are. We are for sure. So I don't know. I think it was a great start. I think this season is going to be very good. I really do. And unfortunately, Tom, we're going to have to wait until the end of the season or close to the end of the season to find out why did they leave that caisson in the ground.
Yep.
So it'll be April before we find out anything about that caisson. Matter of fact, it's going to be probably March before
I would say it's going to be February or March before we start
seeing the caissons at all.
Of course. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say because they actually pulled that equipment off a month earlier than previous years. So it could be, it's hard to say.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I'm
But
really,
I like to see them tying all these different areas together, and
yeah.
I would have no doubt that the guys probably did a couple of field trips.
Oh yeah, there's going to be some field trips this year for sure. That's one of the other takeaways from all of this.
Yeah.
Was that because of this conglomerate that they found, and I had another picture here that I was going to show. They were showing these coins on the table, but the bags underneath these coins um, were not of the coins. They were of, if you look at the bags, 82823. This is Jamie Cuba, and this was a find. It says mortar, and then it says possible cellar stairs at
Hmm.
possible cellar stairs. That's interesting, isn't it? Lot
Yep.
5. And again, this one said feature 1 mortar.
Hmm.
And Jamie's got her notes on there, but this was things that were found that tie what they were saying about the samples that were found, the possible mortar. You've got it in lot 5. You've got it underneath the cone E, and you've also found soil samples of the same in the money pit area about 100 feet down.
Hmm.
75, I think it was 75 feet. So Moya was talking about those from lot 5, cone E, and 75 foot down in the money pit are 95% the same darn stuff.
Yeah, I've got
So,
it here. So you've got lot 5. You get 2 features from lot 5, 3 from the money pit, and 1 from lot 10 that are all in the 90 plus range.
yes.
90% plus range. Yeah.
Yep. So that now, if we could get dates on those, but that ties all those three things, all those three places together, and that's why they were saying that Lot 5 was some sort of an encampment for the people that were working in the money pit, and it looks like the people that may have been involved in the work in building the Nolan's Cross. Now, if they find a tie to that in the swamp as well, which I think they may, um, there you go. Then you're talking about the same people being involved in all 4 places,
Hmm.
and I think that's huge. That's a major find right there.
Yep.
So, yeah. I don't know. I'm excited about this season. I think it's going to be very good. I think they're going to finally come up with some. I don't, I think if they would have found treasure, we may have already heard something about it. We didn't see the budget truck coming back off the. I don't know. They keep very good secrets, don't they?
Stuff could be down there for a long time, and they're not going to say anything.
Right.
And there would be a bunch of reasons not to say anything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what we have for you tonight, folks. I tell you, this is we're going to be here for every Wednesday night at 7:30, except on the holiday. We got Thanksgiving coming up, which is on a Thursday, so we're gonna work with that particular week. Probably double up the next week instead of doing anything on the holiday week there. When we get around Christmas time, we're probably going to run into the same type of situation. But every other third Wednesday night at 7:30, Tom and I will be here. We'll have some other people joining us here. Seth may jump in and join us. We'll hopefully have Colin jump in with us and join us on a couple of those. And
we got to get some guests and some co-hosts.
yes. Yep. And we will have some cast members coming on. Laird apologized profusely about not making it last week. So we'll see him. He wants to do something right out of the lab, which would be really cool.
And now after this week, we've got a lot more questions we can add to the pile.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Tomorrow night, we are going continuing on with the Lost Treasures of North America. And if you have not heard of this gentleman, you should go check him out on the YouTube. His name is Terry Carter. Terry Carter is going to be here with us tomorrow night. He is very big in the Aztec gold in the southwestern United States. He has a lot of videos that he's done, a lot of interviews of people. He's going to be with us tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We got Jim Kelgard co-hosting along with Mark Hoover. I just talked to Mark, and Mark said he could do it. I know, Linda, I didn't tell you about it because it was kind of a last-minute thing. But Mark Hoover is going to be helping us out in having a conversation with Terry Carter. So look him up, Terry Carter, on YouTube, and you're going to find a lot of great information from that man. So we'll find out what more about it. He was on Beyond Oak Island. He was on the Josephine Mine episode.
Oh, okay. Yep.
He
I remember
was.
that.
Yep. Terry Carter. So we're going to have a lot of fun with Terry Carter tomorrow night right here on the J Free 906 podcast. And with that, folks, Tom and I will say goodnight. We'll catch
Good
you
night.
next week. All right.
Thanks, Jan.
Yes. Thank you, Jan, for working on the synopsis for us.
It's on
We'll
our
catch you
Facebook
next time,
page,
folks.
so
Right
be
here.
sure and check it out.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Right.